Good morning and welcome to Policing TV, where I'm delighted here in West Yorkshire, in Wakefield, to be joined by Amy Watkins, who is the head here of Pol-Ed. Good morning, Amy, and thank you so much for inviting Policing TV in here to talk about Pol-Ed.
Thanks for having us.
Let's just start briefly with your background, because you're not a police officer, you're a member of police staff here, and you are a former teacher. Tell us a little bit about your background and the journey from teaching into this role.
Okay, so I started teaching in 2009, been in education for 14 years, progressed quite early on in my career to a senior leadership team, spending time as an assistant head teacher, and a lot of my time was overseeing curriculum, so developing and building curriculums from sort of bottom up, and then implementing them across the school setting, and then monitoring the impact. So lots of experience around curriculum development, and then in my last few years as a deputy head teacher, I was safeguard and inclusion lead. So again, a lot of experience with attendance, behaviour, parents, safeguarding of children. So lots of experience there, which I've then brought across skills, knowledge and experience to my role as head of Pol-Ed.
So what attracted you then to this role?
The idea of developing the project. I really have enjoyed in my time in education developing curriculum projects, and for me it was being able to take a project and the impact that it could have on children beyond just one school setting. It was the greater impact of thousands of children, hopefully, with knowing that the aim was to roll this out nationally. So trying to have that positive impact and making that difference to as many children as we can nationally.
You joined West Yorkshire Police roughly 18 months or so ago. Pol-Ed has been going here in West Yorkshire since, I think, about 2018. So just take us through that journey insofar as you know it, from 2018 through to the present day. Yeah,
so it started by a Sergeant Aslaher. So he grew up in Brixton, taught down in Brixton for many, many years, and through his own personal experiences, he identified a bit of a gap between police and education, and found, an opportunity where he believed he could really make a difference through creating a programme of study, lessons which aligned policing priorities along with the curriculum objectives. Pitched the idea to the Chief Constable when he moved up to West Yorkshire in 2017 and joined the police, and immediately the Chief was brought in as his idea. It started with a small team, and they started to develop and build content with some really clear aims and ambitions around wanting to keep children safe, improving their knowledge and understanding of the law, and a range of different topics and themes, and hopefully in the process improving children's relationships and perceptions of the police. So they started to develop, content started to get created, we had a website. COVID hit, as we all know, and it sort of came to a bit of a halt alongside many other things, and then it picked up again. New resources were being developed, a new website, and then I came in 2023, and we've continued to then develop it from there, with one of my key roles was to try and roll it out nationally. Pol-Ed at the moment is funded by POCA funding, so this is Proceeds of Crime Act, which is a fantastic way of using that money to educate our young children, but the aim is beyond that funding that we become self-funded through other forces purchasing Pol-Ed and reaping the benefits. So
we'll talk about other forces involvement in a moment or two, but first let's play a video that the Chief John Robbins here in West Yorkshire Police has been involved in, that will tell us a little bit more about the Pol-Ed work that you do.
Brilliant.
Hello, I'm John Robbins, the Chief Constable of West Yorkshire Police. We have an amazing new education resource created by West Yorkshire Police called Pol-Ed, Police Education.
Pol-Ed is an innovative and pioneering educational programme created by our team of curriculum specialists and design experts. The purpose of Pol-Ed is to provide teachers within educational settings pre-planned and ready to deliver lessons which all focus on educating children further around a range of topic areas such as healthy relationships, harassment and online safety, all of which will help to keep children and their peers safe.
Pol-Ed has provided staff with an opportunity to use really fantastic lessons that comply with the PSHE national curriculum.
Lessons are grouped under 3 core topic areas: relationships, keeping safe and understanding the law, with every lesson mapped against the PSHE association objectives, a document which is readily available for teachers to view and download from our website once registered.
These resources can be used to provide information to teachers, deliver knowledge and skills of pupils on how to stay safe, protect themselves, make the right choices in difficult decisions, and also builds on their resilience and teamwork.
All lessons and supporting resources are reviewed regularly to ensure that content is current, relevant and accurate, and all quality assured within the police force to check for accuracy of information.
The essence of Pol-Ed for me is a professional, well-resourced programme of lesson plans designed by teachers that is delivered by teachers.
I think the thing about the Pol-Ed scheme is that it can fit alongside any scheme that schools have chosen to use for RSHE and PSHE. I know that certain schools will be wanting to emphasise some aspects of the programme depending on their context, depending on the needs, the current needs of the pupils. And the thing with Pol-Ed is that they can select from it. It doesn't have to be delivered as a complete scheme. They can select certain units of work to go alongside the work that they're already doing.
It has been a perfect programme for us here at St Plinus. The children themselves come from different backgrounds, mixed backgrounds, and some children experience a lot of personal difficulties and are exposed to crime situations at home. Their perception of the police can often be disjointed as well. So the programme has supported us as teachers to educate the children on the wider world and experiences they might be having to face.
Pol-Ed has a lot of examples that students can relate to, especially in a culturally diverse school, looking at race and religion and disability and gender orientation. I think that resources reflect that really well.
I think it's important for schools to teach young students about law and crime because a lot of students aren't taught about it at home. There's a lot of things I honestly didn't know were illegal, but apparently they are. So it's good that we're taught about that in school and we won't bring that behaviour into the outer world.
So what I like most about Pol-Ed is the scheme is really relevant to local and current issues that impact on our children.
It's intertwined really well into our PSHE curriculum. We've embedded it all the way through, so it's a common thread for the teachers for their teaching. So it's enhanced really more than anything the curriculum that we already have in place for our PSHE.
Every lesson provides opportunities for partner, group and whole class discussion, activities and tasks such as reading and discussing scenario-based situations, and all lessons finish with a reflection slide, allowing pupils to think about how each lesson relates to them, their school and the wider community, and how they can make a positive difference.
As a result, we've seen lots of our young people get involved in student leadership activities, as well as volunteer with community initiatives.
In addition to class-based lessons, Pol-Ed has created a range of assemblies to be delivered to larger groups of pupils in line with specific focus days and weeks, or to use as and when needed within the school setting. Over 90% of schools across West Yorkshire are registered to Pol-Ed, with more schools using our content consistently and regularly, embedding it within the curriculum to enhance pupils' learning and engagement. With other police forces now purchasing Pol-Ed, it has become a national programme, used by many more schools and thousands more children sitting outside of West Yorkshire.
Together, if we get this right, this will help generations of young people. It will help them to keep them safe, both now and as they grow into responsible adults and citizens of the future.
I hope the Pol-Ed video that you have just viewed has given you a really good oversight and overview of what Pol-Ed is and what it has become over the last few years. The Chief here at West Yorkshire is a huge advocate of Pol-Ed and really does believe that it can make a huge difference to our children as they grow up into adults through their educational experiences with the Pol-Ed lessons as part of that curriculum that they're delivered within their school settings.
So this is something that absolutely is a commitment from West Yorkshire Police to develop this further. As we'll have seen from the video, Amy, very much supported by schools in West Yorkshire and other jurisdictions as well. So far, How many other forces have taken this programme in England and Wales?
So we have 4 other forces at the moment, with 2 further forces onboarding as we speak, and an awful lot of other forces that we're in different conversations with at different stages of them presenting to their chief officer teams. It's been hugely successful in West Yorkshire. We're up at 95% of our schools now are registered, so getting close to almost 1,000 of our schools here registered, and more schools using Pol-Ed. We've had an increase of 300% of lesson deliveries of Pol-Ed this academic year compared to last. So schools really are engaging and really seeing the difference that Pol-Ed is making.
So for those forces and jurisdictions that do take on Pol-Ed, what's the journey they go through then? How would you describe the journey from expression of interest through to active engagement in Pol-Ed?
So we have a really good service and delivery lead, Sergeant Tom Regan. He liaises with the forces in the initial stages. Often it's an initial presentation on Teams where it's shared with an overview of Pol-Ed. We go through the video in more detail and the benefits that it brings to their force and the schools that sit within their force area. And then beyond this, we often then go to a face-to-face meeting. So myself and Tom travel to a lot of different forces and then present to the forces, the COT team, but also the local authorities, because it's really about the partnership between education, the local authorities and the police. So we provide forces with a really supportive model. Once we've done the initial inputs and a force on board, we help them through their journey with the rollout. So we provide them with a structure of what we recommend and suggest through our own experiences and through that of the other forces that have onboarded. We do initial launch conferences for them and present to various different departments and teams in the force, and that helps them with the initial communication and the initial rollout to schools. The aim there then is for to start getting the schools in their force area to register to Pol-Ed and then to begin to understand and start to use it. So when a force purchases Pol-Ed, it is provided completely free to the schools that sit within their force area.
So several questions come from that. On the question of cost, I'll come to that in a moment or two, but also there are several stakeholders involved. The police force may be interested in what you're doing, but the local authority, the education side, schools and others will also need to be persuaded that this is something of value to them. How does that work?
So with Pol-Ed, it is one of the only PSHE schemes out there that has that...
PSHE, the acronym, just if you would, just remind us.
PSHE is Personal, Social, Health and Economic Education. So it sits within that curriculum area in a school setting as part of the curriculum. Also, there are many schemes out there, and all schools will deliver PSHE of some kind. Now, Pol-Ed, aligns with the objectives of PSHE. So from a school perspective, it enhances a school's curriculum. For teachers, it provides them a programme of study readily planned, readily available for them. So from a workload point of view for teachers, everything is there. They've got the reassurance that it is created by subject matter experts and quality assured by the police. From a force perspective, it allows forces to know that there is a consistent approach to the delivery of PSHE. So we do cover the content under the PSHE Association objectives, and some of that content area can be quite tricky and challenging, particularly as you go up through your secondary school. So we provide that CPD and the content for schools to use.
Continuous professional development.
Continuous professional development, and it provides, for forces that reassurance again that actually the lessons that their schools are getting is consistent. So it's not a postcode lottery of schools using different schemes with different knowledge and content. From 2020, the part of PSHE, Personal, Social, Health and Economic Education, became statutory. And we cover a lot of those elements in there. For example, relationships, that's one of the statutory requirements, and we have a huge range of lessons that sit within that topic area.
So what age group, before we come on to the cost, I am going to come on to the cost, but what age group is this then targeted at?
So we go right from early years all the way through to post-16. And the idea is that this becomes a spiral curriculum. So I know the Chief and our aim and vision is actually if a child takes part in our Pol-Ed lessons right from early years through their school journey, they are building and they've got that progressive knowledge through their time in school. And it's that spiral curriculum that really lays those foundations and allows for those building blocks to continue to be added. We, at the moment, our lessons are by key stage, but we're currently in development of taking that to year groups. So we are going to have over 20 lessons per year group, which will allow a child essentially to have a Pol-Ed lesson every other week of their whole school career.
So costs and benefits. So tell us about the costs and also remind us about the benefits.
So cost of force, we have a tier model, a costing model, and that's based on the size of the force and the number of schools within that force area. It works out for a force less than 10p per child, and it can vary some depending on the size of the force and the school area. Benefits
per year, presumably.
Per year, yeah, it's an annual cost. And like I said, we've got huge growing content, and it's not only content for schools now, we've actually developed a force platform. So that's hugely beneficial for forces. So from a force perspective, they will have access to a website, they can preview everything that is delivered in the school setting, but we also create police inputs. And this allows, again, that consistency within a force for the delivery in schools. All forces engage with schools in different ways, but actually we now have inputs for officers that can be tracked and monitored on the website as well. So it provides that reassurance for forces that when officers are being asked to go to schools or they're engaging with schools, the content that they're delivering is the same. Again, it's stopping that postcode lottery. It's accurate, it's relevant, it's created by subject matter experts. So that's a fairly new development for the police force. And we also have Intervention 22 inputs, which links to Outcome 22. So if a child is on the cusp of crime or criminality, it's an educational input. It's a way of we're not wanting to criminalise a child. It's not in the public interest to criminalise that child, but actually we want to provide them with an educational input. So Pol-Ed has 3 phases now. Phase 1 is for the schools, for teachers to deliver. Phase 2 are police inputs, and Phase 3, Intervention 22, to be delivered by a police officer. So it's trying to give as many opportunities for children to have that early intervention and prevention, and that's what Pol-Ed is. It's trying to get in there early, building children's knowledge and awareness of risks and consequences to hopefully reduce demand on the police in the future.
So forces that aren't currently engaged, and indeed others in this environment, local authorities, education, can get in touch with you. Presumably contact details are available via your website, www.pol-ed.co.uk.
Yeah, absolutely. If you log on, go through Google, type in Pol-Ed, it'll bring up our website. You can contact us straight from there. And in the first instance, then Sergeant Tom Regan will get in touch and set up a meeting. And that's sort of step number 1.
So Policing TV's reach goes well beyond the British Isles. So if forces from overseas are interested in what you are doing, can they still get in touch?
Of course, yeah. We recently presented at an overseas conference, and it was a great opportunity to share our practice with other forces and gain some insight into education, across other forces as well. So yeah, absolutely. Anybody that has any interest, please do contact us, and we'll be more than happy to share Pol-Ed further with you.
So what's your hope for the coming few years for Pol-Ed? What would you like if Policing TV comes back in a couple of years' time? What would you hope then to be able to say?
So the aim for us is that more and more forces nationally on board to Pol-Ed. It would be fantastic if this grows to as many forces and reaches as many children as possible. In doing that, that'll allow our team to grow, and then the constant development of content. I mean, it's never ending really where we can go with Pol-Ed and the opportunities that have arisen already in the last year. So building that consistency, providing children, with a range of lessons, a range of education, which ultimately, our aim is it keeps them safe. It keeps our children safe. It keeps them more knowledgeable, more aware, and in doing that, they're able to make better informed decisions in their future.
Keeps our children safe. That's a wonderful mission statement there. So, Amy Watkins, it's been fascinating hearing about Pol-Ed. Thank you so much. I do hope that Policing Insight and Policing TV can cover more of what you're doing over the coming months and years. But for the time being, Amy Watkins, Head of Pol-Ed here at West Yorkshire Police, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.